Hey there, I am Michelle Gaddis. I'm the digital learning coach for Marshall County Schools, and I created this video to help parents understand how to access their kids' grades and a little bit about the Otus family account. So, it's going to be about elementary standards based grading and how you can look at that in your Otus family account. So, standards based grading is probably a little different than when you and I were in school, where we were on a points based grading scale. So, in math, we might get an 80 or we might get a 92, and that was our grade. Standards based grading is a more individual standards based reporting of how a student is doing. So instead of one single grade in math, where they might be really good at addition and subtraction, they might be really struggling with multiplication and division, and you can't really see that in one holistic grade. So by breaking that down into individual standards and reporting individually on those standards, we get a really better idea of where the student is and where they might need more help. So some terms that you might see when you're looking at your students' grades are exceeds mastery, mastery, approaching mastery, and limited mastery. And this is just a little explanation of what those all mean. So just kind of giving you that because you're going to be seeing those terms throughout. Also, in our learning management system, which is Otus, that's the platform that we use to assign assessments and lessons, and then it's also what's tracking our standard progress for our students. So there are two mastery settings in Otus for us. There are more, but these are the two that we're using. The first one is decaying average, and decaying average is going to be great for a long-term look at how a student is doing, which means that it's going to be an average of their progress throughout, but it weights more the more recent attempts on a standard and less on an early attempt when a student might just be learning how to do it. So it's giving more weight to the more recent when hopefully the student is getting closer to mastering a skill. We also have the option of calculating by mean, which is just a simple average of how the student has done. So early on in the standard, maybe when we only have a few attempts at it, mean works a little bit better than decaying average, just because sometimes it can be a little skewed when you don't have a lot of attempts. So both of those options are there. The actual data doesn't change. There are just multiple ways to look at the data, and those are our two options. So if you don't already have an Otus family account, I highly recommend that you get one. It's going to be the best way for you to stay in touch with how your kids are doing in school. So you can either contact your student's teacher or their principal, or you can contact me directly. Again, my name is Michelle Gaddis. By email is there. And then when you email me, just ask that you need an Otus family account. Give me the student's name or names if you've got more than one student in the school system, what grade they're in, and which school they attend. And then I will email you back with a parent guide that'll be instructions on how to create your account, a little bit how to navigate the account, and then a unique code that is just for your student. That way you can just see their progress. So just email me if you want to sign up, and I'll get you everything you need to do that. So when you log in to your Otus family account, you're going to click add a student, and then you're going to just type in the unique code that I'll provide you with. And then your students will have a tile here. So if you only have one child in our system, there'll be one with their name here. If you've got more than one, they'll each have a separate tile. You have a list of menu options over here on the side. I'm going to go through a couple of those with you as we go through this presentation, but just kind of know that your students are here. Now, if you click on these, you're going to see all of the classes that that student is enrolled in. So I'm going to go ahead, and what you see here are class tiles. So these are all of the classes that's assigned to your student. Now, I'll be honest with you, some of these classes are just for administration purposes and they're not actually used for your student doesn't do anything in them. So just kind of know that. My advice to you is to look for the 4 core classes, which are English language, so it would be this one, math, which would be this one, science, which is this one, and then move my head, social studies, which is this one. Okay, so just concentrate on these 4. That's where you're going to see the standards and you're going to see the assessments and things like that. So just kind of keep that in mind when you're looking at this. So you can click on any of these, and when you do, if the teacher uses class board, which is an option, you will be taken there. Not all teachers use that, so don't feel worried if you go there and there's nothing there. Some do and some don't. It's totally optional. Some teachers just use the lesson feature or the assessments feature. Next is the grade book. So this definitely is somewhere you're going to want to go. And honestly, it's probably where you're going to spend most of your time when you're in the Otus family account. So if you'll look again over here on your left menu, this is the grade book symbol. So you'll click on that and then this will pop up. So what you need to do first is you're going to have a choice here between points and standards. Because elementary is doing standards based, you're going to want to click on standards. So make sure that you choose that. And then you're going to need to choose which standards you want to look at. So first you might want to look at their English standards, or you might want to scroll down and choose their math standards, or scroll on down and choose social studies. But you do need to choose a core class and then make sure standards is selected. Okay. So I chose English. And here are the English standards that popped up. So when you get to this screen, just to kind of show you what you're looking at. First of all, this is calculated by mean. You remember what we have 2 options, mean or decaying average. So right now this is by mean. This tells us that there have been 2 attempts on this single standard. And in fact, there have been 3 attempts on this standard, and you could even read what the standard is. So on composing narratives, producing clear and coherent writing, 2 attempts so far. It does convert to a points grade, but that's not what's going to be reported on the report card. And you can scroll on down to the other standards if you want to. So if you want to see this in decaying average, which is the other way to calculate, you'll just click the 3 dots here and choose mastery settings, and then you'll just switch over to decaying average. So here you see your 2 choices are mean and decaying average, and that's how you will see the other calculation of the standards. Again, it's the same data. You're still going to see the same number of attempts. It's just a different way to calculate the same data. Let me go back one. So let's say that you're interested in this one and you want to see these attempts. You want to see how your student or your child did on these. You can click on the individual standard here or here, and it'll pull up all these attempts. So I chose one for, this is actually social studies. This is a different one, but it's still what you would get. And this one has 23 attempts on this standard of using a variety of maps, satellite images, and so forth. Okay, so here are the 23 attempts. Everywhere that you see this little dot, that is an attempt on the standard. So you can, of course, click in these where they got 100%. They got them all correct, so you can click in there and see the actual assessment. You might be more interested in these where they got 0%. So apparently on this attempt, this student got this incorrect. So what you can actually do is click on that dot and it will pull up the actual assessment question that tagged this standard. Okay, so this standard was attempted on 8/27, and here you have the question. The correct answer was region. This in red is what this student answered, and that's why they got 0 on that attempt for that standard, and that factors into their grade. So in the family account, you can see everything that affects your student's grade. So my advice to you is don't wait for report cards to see how your student is doing. Because you have that Otus family account, you can literally check it for current real-time progress of your students. I recommend checking it daily to see what's new in there. And also, when you first log in to Otus, there's a home button. And when you go to that home button, there is your child's to-do list on the side. It's going to show assessments. It's going to show their lessons. It's going to show what was assigned today. The students in their account have that very same to-do list. It's a great way to make sure they're staying on top of their work and not getting behind, and that they're not missing an assessment that they were supposed to do somewhere. So please check your Otus family account. If you don't have one, let me know and I'll get you the information so that you can get started. And I'm happy to help you, and I hope this helps. Thank you.